our costs. I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12670. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Hanny Time. Hanny Time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Sandegriff.
Yes, I am a pirate, 200 years too late. The cannons don't thunder, there's nothing to plunder. I'm an over 40 victim of fate, arriving too late, arriving too late. But I've done a bit of smuggling, and I've run my share of grass. I made enough money to buy Miami, but I pissed it away so fast. Never meant to last.
And we welcome you into Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I'm Charles Sandegriff along with Mario Jerez and Taylor Sharp. The college football world mourns the death of Mike Leach, the Mississippi State head coach who passed away last night at the age of 61. Leach was unique, and I think that is an understatement. But I'll remember him as the most colorful personality that college football ever had, and an innovator in many aspects of offensive modern football. I want to start the show today with somebody who worked with Mike Leach. Bill Martin, who's a longtime member of the sports information staff at LSU and is now the sports information director for Tennessee football, was the SID at Mississippi State in January of 2020 when Mike Leach was hired there, and we welcome him into the show. Bill, thanks for spending a few minutes with us today. How are you?
Thanks, guys. Good to hear from you.
Bill, I never met Mike Leach one-on-one. I was in press conferences with him a number of times, but I never had a one-on-one conversation with him or interview with him. I told my wife this morning that he was a guy I would have liked to have sat down for a couple hours with and had a beer, preferably in Key West, which was, I think, his favorite place in the world. You worked with him for the first 2 months before you took the job in Knoxville when he became the coach at Mississippi State. So what was it like to work with Mike Leach?
There was nobody like Coach Leach. In a world full of, I guess, robotic coaches and, coaches are always busy and tied up with things. It was refreshing to see somebody just a normal human being but with so many thoughts on life. And you'd probably go into his office trying to get some answers for about 5 minutes and sit there for about an hour. So, of course, I was only with him for 2 months, and there's so many great people at Mississippi State who have built great relationships with him. But I feel like in 2 months I could have many stories to tell, and that was Coach Leach. He always gave you the time of day. He always had a crazy thought about everything. But the one thing I do remember is he never had an ego about him, never talked down on people, and really had an appreciation for everybody who he encountered.
Bill, you've been around, football staffs. It's high pressure. It's an enormous amount of hours. And it's really, really serious stuff because literally in the Southeastern Conference, everybody's job is on the line every day. What was it like to see him interact with staff, given his personality, but also a deep, deep knowledge of football?
He was a genius when it comes to offensive football and his mindset, and he thought differently. And a lot of successful people, are different thinkers. And I think the staff, if you look, not a lot of turnover on his staffs over the years. They enjoyed working with him. He made life happy for them and their families. I could speak for a lot of those people at State that they loved working for him. And I think it's he had a different approach than most coaches that you see today. And I always will admire the fact that he was comfortable in who he was, and he never was going to change about who he was. And there's something authentic about that and about him. And I know he impacted a lot in his time at Mississippi State and obviously beyond football.
I know part of your job is to prep coaches for questions they might get, what they may be walking into in a press conference situation at different times. Did you find that unnecessary with Mike Leach?
I may have gave him a few pointers on a few things for his introductory presser, but I'll never forget when I found out we were hiring, and I'm sitting there doing some research, putting together a press release and creative video and announcements, and bought the book Swing Your Sword and just all the things you got to learn about him. But he gets off the plane, and here's a guy who had a lot of appreciation for what he had. You think about all the places he worked, and he walked into Starkville and he saw an SEC football job and all the bells and whistles of a football facility and everything in there, and he was blown away by, this is incredible. We have something. I'm grateful to have this. I remember walking him into his office first time he walked into the building, and amidst a hectic schedule, and coaches go through just a crazy schedule right when they're hired, from recruiting to roster management. But him sitting in his office and taking a moment to soak that in, I'd give him a sheet of speaking points and say, hey, Coach, you need a suit. Well, I don't own a suit.
He didn't own a suit. Didn't own one.
He didn't own one, and we had to go get him fitted for one the next day before his press conference, and including a necktie, and he hated wearing ties. And in fact, he was quoted as always saying, "Whoever invented the necktie is an idiot."
Yeah.
So I loved his authenticity. What you see on TV, that's who he was all the time. And I had a great appreciation for that. And I know the people at State did too.
You can fall down a rabbit hole on YouTube on Mike Leach pretty easy. In fact, I did again yesterday. We're going to play some of those clips later. But certainly there had to be one day you walked in there and got one of these, I don't know, just monologues about something that didn't make it to YouTube that was, just something. Give me a story. Give me something that he talked about that, like, hey, man, nobody else saw this, but I saw this.
And there were a few. I definitely, again, the suit one was hilarious.
Yeah.
But I think he didn't realize his press conference was going to be like live on SEC Network, and he went into a monologue about the history of television and Keith Jackson and the origins of TV. And I mean, this must have been an hour, and I remember just blown away by it all. But that was Mike.
Is there something that the public wouldn't know about him from the football side? Because, and we're going to get into that a little bit, because I think sometimes, Bill, it gets lost in the personality that was Mike Leach, just how good of a football coach this guy was, and some of the cutting edge things that are a part of every offense now that, started with him and Lavelle Edwards and some of the origins and Hal Mumme, of course, the origins of the air raid, just how good an X and O guy he was.
He was the birth of modern offense, per se. And if you look today, the amount of coaches and players who became coaches that he influenced, and you start right here at Tennessee, and our head coach, Josh Heupel, he was a guy playing junior college football in Snow College in Utah. He had 1 year, one shot maybe at major college football. And Mike Leach gave him that. Nobody, it's quoted in his Swing Your Sword book that there was nobody that in major college football that gave him a shot other than Mike Leach. He would have ended up at New Mexico or Southern Utah, and Mike saw something in him, and even assistant coaches were critical about, who is this guy? And, of course, Mike was only there at Oklahoma for 1 year in 1999 and left to take the head coaching job at Texas Tech. But he recruited Heupel, and 2 years later, Heupel was a national champion from a JUCO in Utah. So, again, his principles are talked about among coaching circles all the time, and there's different variants of it. You've seen it all across college football, but he and Coach Momey were obviously the origins of this.
Bill, when you look back on it, the 2 months that you guys spent together, correct me if I'm wrong on my timeline, these were the last 2 months before the pandemic hit, correct? So this was the last time this is the last time
normalcy.
Football as we knew it
Right.
for you guys. And then as soon as you went to Tennessee, the pandemic hit. So you really got the last 2 months of the pre-pandemic when football was, what it was before the pandemic with Mike Leach.
Right, no doubt. And I think that one of the things that really stood out to me was, how many times do you try to line up an interview with a coach or want to get in touch with a coach or whoever that may be? But Mike, hey, call me, text me, and I'll get back to you. It might be at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., but he responded to everybody who reached out to him. Text, phone call, voicemail, could randomly call you. And he cared about people. And again, in a world where everybody's so robotic and busy, Mike always gave people the time of day.
The outpouring of support and I guess the messages that we've seen on Twitter and that have been released officially, I'm sure none of this surprises you, but we were talking this before the show. It's not like, listen, we've got a young coach here, a generally young coach that has passed away here. 61 is too young. But
sure.
We wouldn't see this kind of outpouring for support for most coaches. It would sort of be that's nice, he did a good job, and move on. This guy touched people in a way that a football coach really shouldn't. And people that had no connection to any of the schools that he coached at. Would you say that's accurate, what you've seen?
100% accurate. Mike, I can't tell you how – I don't think he had any enemies in the coaching business. In a world with cutthroat recruiting and, this can be an emotional, jarring game. And Mike was so respected by everybody, especially in this league in his time, but just beyond the game itself and into the NFL. And people – respected him. People had a deep appreciation for him. The person you saw on TV was the same you saw in person. And again, he always gave people the time of day. And I have never heard a coach say a bad thing about Mike Leach.
By the way, I agree with him about the ties. I could do without that. Do without that myself. Bill, I really appreciate the time. It was great catching up with you guys at the Southeastern Conference Championship game. Good to talk to you, my friend. I wish it was under better circumstances, but take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks a lot. Bill Martin, who is it's been a long time at LSU, graduate from LSU, spent a long time in LSU Sports Information Department when he was a student, and then began his career here, was at Florida for a short period of time, and then he was the SID at Mississippi State for 6 years. Including the beginning of Mike Leach now up at Tennessee. We'll take a break. I've got some more thoughts about Mike Leach. Dwayne Colucci is with us later on in this hour. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. Right now, as we get close to the year end, 3.9% APR for 60 months on most models right now, plus $1,000 in loyalty cash on the MDX and the TLX with 2-year, 24,000-mile complimentary scheduled maintenance on all of the 2023 models. You're looking for a pre-owned vehicle, the certified pre-owned selection, huge right now. 7 years or 100,000-mile powertrain coverage Roadside assistance, we talked so many times about how important this is, especially if you've got older drivers or younger drivers that need that assistance. Your first scheduled maintenance is free. The complimentary vehicle is also available to you, so you don't have to arrange for transportation. Or sit around and wait for your vehicle. You got things to do. Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge, with transparency in pricing and a pleasant buying experience. That's why we're buying our vehicles every time at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
We get it done with passion for our fans
and love for our community. We are
the Tigers.
Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
A third of youth who grow up in foster care are homeless 18 months after aging out of care. But you can rewrite that story. Children and youth with CASA and GAL volunteers are more likely to find safe, permanent homes. Change a child's story. Become a volunteer today.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Now in his 7th college football season, Lindsey Scott Jr. joins us, and we'll preview Pels at Jazz, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I went down to Captain Tony's to get out of the heat, when I heard a voice call out to me, son, come have a seat. I had to search my memory as I looked into those eyes. My life's changed like the weather, but a legend never dies. He said
And we welcome you back into Hanny Time. Captain Tony's was legendary place down in Key West, and I happen to know one of the bar owners from down there. Don't ask how; it's just a long story. But this is an older gentleman now who's in his 80s, so he had stories to tell about life in Key West, and I bring it up because this was Mike Leach's favorite place in the world. This guy that I know would tell stories about he knew Shel Silverstein before he was famous. He knew Buffett before he was famous. They told stories about Hemingway. I mean, my God. And this is where Leach liked to go. And if I could have wandered into Captain Tony's on an afternoon when Leach was having a beer, well, that would have been a pretty good day. I've probably been to, I don't know, 2,000 press conferences in my life. Most of the time, look, we air them, okay? This is, it's what we do. But most of the time, you're lucky to go in there and get, a couple of things because especially now, you get so robotic. And for a Leach press conference, you could hear a bunch of different things. I want to play a couple of them, but before that, I want to talk about Mike Leach, the football coach, because I hope that this doesn't get lost today. I don't think it will. The type of football coach that he was, because I watched when I was growing up, and the air raid thing. I watched Lavelle Edwards at BYU, and Lavelle Edwards in the 70s and 80s was running passing concepts that most people were not at the time. This was the time of 3 yards in a cloud of dust football, to be sure. And anybody that dared buck that system was, needless to say, it was very difficult for them to break in with some of those concepts. And Leach studied Lavelle Edwards. I mean, we're talking about Jim McMahon and Steve Young and Robbie Bosco and Mark Wilson and some of the highest passing quarterbacks of the late 70s and into the 80s. Leach took all of that. And when he tried to put some of these concepts in, and when he worked with Mummy, and they came up with the air raid, and you get a lot of different opinions about who developed what with the air raid, okay? You want to hear him get into a conversation about it? Just ask him about the difference between a jet sweep and a fly sweep. But you better save some time because they're going to get into a heated conversation about it. But the word I would use is that it was looked at as a gimmick. It was looked at as, hey, listen, the big schools don't do that. Ohio State doesn't do that. Alabama doesn't do that. USC doesn't do that. You have to have a gimmick. And the idea that it would one day be the basis of pretty much every offense in college football was so foreign. It would be like we're saying, hey, listen, 40 years from now, they'll be playing without equipment, which may very well be the case. I won't be around to see it, but it may very well happen. So it's so easy now to just say, well, yeah, all of those things. Well, yeah, everybody does that. Everybody didn't do that. In fact, hardly anybody ever did that. And he took and perfected a lot of those things. Here's the football part. At Texas Tech, he never had a losing season. They had won 5 bowl games in the history of the school. Before he got there, he won 6. When he won the South Division, it was the first time that they had won a title of any kind in 32 years. It was their first double-digit win season in 32 years. He finished 41 games over 500, 14 games over 500 in league play over the decade that he was there, and at one point was the number 1 team in the nation. Texas Tech was not a complete disaster as a football program when he got there, but it was far from the success that he would have. At Washington State, they had a lot of success under Mike Price. Remember Mike Price, the guy that almost killed the Roll Tide cheer? Price got him to 2 Rose Bowls and had 3 10-win seasons. But from the time Price left to the time Leach got there, over 9 seasons, they had 1 good season after Price left because of what he left. And then they had 8 non-winning seasons in a row. The 4 seasons before Leach got there, they won 4 conference games total. Now, it took him 3 years to get that place in shape, but in year 2, he won 4 games in Pac-12 play. That was as many as they had won the 4 years prior to when he got there. We'll talk about coaches and what kind of impact they made. Look at what they did before he got there. Look at what they did after he left. Now, Texas Tech has had some success after Leach left. I'm not saying the program fell off the cliff. And Washington State's had a team, here and there, and they're not a bad program now. But when they got there, when he got there, they were an absolute mess. The last 4 years he was there, he averaged 9 wins a season, 6.5 wins in the league. Now, he didn't inherit a disaster at Mississippi State either. Joe Moorhead was about a 500 coach, but he was not a great fit there. And you get Leach there. You throw out the COVID year. They were 8-8 in SEC play in the last 2 seasons that he was there, the last 2 years. This is in an SEC West that's got these heavyweight budgets in Tuscaloosa and Auburn and College Station and Baton Rouge. He beat Auburn and A&M each of the last 2 years. Suffice to say, he didn't have as many resources as those 2 teams did. And look, LSU wasn't immune. In 2020, I know it was a COVID year, but he came in here. The records count just the same. He led LSU up for 600 and some odd yards through the air, and that's a record that it's going to be awfully hard, to top very many times. So I didn't want the football part to get lost out in the personality stuff, because the personality stuff is fascinating. Mike Leach was interesting. I loved it that he didn't feel the need to be rude or belittle anyone if they dared ask a question that wasn't about football, or he had a little Dale Brown in him that way. They were very different people, but they had one thing in common, which was that at certain points, Dale got tired talking about basketball and wanted to talk to you about other things. Leach was like that. If necessary, he could talk to you football 24/7, but he really didn't want to do that. He wanted to move on to other things. Other things like who would win in a fight between – I'm sorry, I'm going to play this. It's a little bit longer, but it's kind of Mike Leach Day to me. And of all of the clips I could have picked, this was the one that I picked about the mascots, and then it evolves into some of the other topics that Mike Leach just had some random thoughts on.
Well, first of all, what kind of mythical powers does a Sun Devil have? We got to consider that. I'm going to say the Wildcat's out. The Trojan, does he have a horse, or is he on foot? Does he have a bow and arrow, or just his sword? The Bruin, definitely formidable. Another bear up there at Cal. The tree, I imagine that tree's going to get chopped down, unless we're going to go with a bird and somebody might get pecked or something. I don't know. And then the duck might lose interest and just fly away and get out of there, which may be good advice under the circumstances. The husky, no chance. The beaver, we'll see how long that beaver can hold his breath. The ute, again, we're back to, is he on horseback? Does he have a bow and arrow? Did he trade for a rifle? I mean, because if that ute's got a rifle, there's some definite problems. You'd have to get one of those Harry Potter activists to read up on how you kill a Sun Devil, because there's a lot of outside stuff there. Just as far as a beast alone, a buffalo's going to be pretty hard to tangle with. I mean, a buffalo's utterly outstanding. Well, but Butch is going to have to be clear-minded and crafty. I mean, Butch will find a way. There's no question. The Coug will find a way. Clear-minded and crafty, a combination of stay out of harm's way and attack when you get your chances or your openings.
I mean, to me, it's always been naive. On Earth they say, "Oh, well, we're the only ones." Really, why? Have you been to the other planets? Have you checked out the other planets?
I hope the next Graham Harrell and Michael Crabtree are sitting in their living rooms, and they're, kind of astute, studious guys, in addition to being talented, and they say, "Hey, I know what, the game's over, but I'm going to watch 60 Minutes. Oh, yeah, Texas Tech. Oh, 60 Minutes. Yeah, that's me. And then they come here. So hopefully that'll turn out that way."
What kind of lawyer did you think you were going to be?
I wanted to do, at the end, I wanted to do like products liability, as in, if that camera explodes all over that guy, we'd sue the camera company and their insurance company, you see. My favorite weather pattern happens to be when it rains mud. Dust comes through, rain on top of it, it rains mud. This weather report here, what do I know? I'm a football coach. I suggest you go out and do what I do. Get out of bed, go outside, then you know.
Cliff likes to be up early. Cliff's a very sharp dresser. Dana thinks he's a sharp dresser, but clearly is not. And I don't even pretend to be. So you have the all 3 degrees there.
Right now we have the atmosphere of a JC softball game. You know, I mean, that's what we are, a JC softball team. As long as, you know, it's not whether you win or lose. It's like the team that wins is the one that has the most fun. You know, that crap like that. You know, all this stuff that's contaminated America where they give every kid a trophy and they don't keep score in Little League anymore.
Piracy is just one of many subjects Leach researches in his free time. The full list is like a personal card catalog to his mind.
Let's see, whales, bears, whales, grizzly bears, chimpanzees, sharks, Australia, Daniel Boone. There isn't really a specific way to do the tango. Geronimo, the guy always leads. Apache Indians in general, just overall. Wyatt Earp, I don't like to dance. Doc Holliday, because I'm self-conscious. Kind of gravitating a little towards Vikings and George Washington. Went through a little bit of a Napoleon phase.
You know, I'm not going to tell you that there was never anybody that got crossways with him. In the interest of, you know, fairness, there were a couple of players. One as recently as last week that, hey, listen, didn't get along. There's not been a coach that's ever put a whistle around his neck that didn't get along with some, you know, there was going to be a conflict with a player somewhere. But I can honestly tell you that this guy was almost universally liked, admired, respected, and certainly interesting. I can honestly say I don't think there will ever be another Mike Leach. We'll take a break. When we come back, Dwayne Colucci, we're getting a little bowls starting here in just 3 days till the bowls start, and they don't stop, man. They go all the way through January 2nd plus the weekend in the NFL. A little college basketball with Colucci when we come back. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
If you're a business owner, you're having a problem with staffing. Well, most business owners are having a problem with that. You know, you can take all of the hassle out of it with Tiger Labor and Staffing. All of the time-consuming things, the interviews, the background checks, the payroll expenses that come along with it, the employment expenses, they'll take care of all of those things for you, including your interview processes and your onboarding. So you don't have to worry about unqualified applicants coming. You don't have to worry about no-show interviews. If you need somebody for a day, a week, or a month, it can help you control your labor expenses. Increase your flexibility during peak seasons, particularly if it's a holiday season here. Tiger Labor and Staffing can help you. If you're looking for a job, Tiger Labor and Staffing welcomes skilled and unskilled labor. They'll match you with a job that fits. Turnarounds on pay are very quick, so get your work done without the worries. Tiger Labor and Staffing, success begins with the eye of the tiger. Go to tigerlabor.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Every business is different, but B1 Bank knows that every business owner has similar needs. From streamlining accounts receivables to maintaining access to working capital, a trusted bank is your best asset for staying on top of day-to-day finances and planning for future business growth. At B1 Bank, I know I have access to commercial banking experts who care about the needs of my business and can guide me to accomplish my goals. B1 Bank knows that managing your business isn't simple, but they can help you make it uncomplicated.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Join me, Jimmy Out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Dozy Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we go out now to Las Vegas, South Point, and the Rampart, and our friend Dwayne Colucci. There's a horn. Colucci, how you doing, man?
Doing good, Charlie. How about you?
Pretty good. We've been talking a lot about Mike Leach and his passing today. Everybody's got a favorite story about him. He was unique and coached out in that part of the country, out in the Pac-12 when he was at Washington State. What do you remember about Mike Leach?
Yeah, Mike was just such a fabulous character for the game and an excellent head coach. People don't realize what an impact Coach Leach had on his players. And, just a sad, sad day in the college football landscape. I even tweeted it out. We didn't know the seriousness. We heard a massive heart attack, and a lot of people were saying that, he was basically, really going to have to fight. And he did have to. He tried hard. And, Mike Leach is just a class act and will always be remembered in the Pac-12 and throughout college football. I mean, his press conferences were legendary at times. His reactions to players, catching him going into halftime. We've had some great clips from this man.
Yeah.
And, I'll be honest with you, Charlie, it's a big loss in college football. And we're going to see how his team reacts as well. I believe they play Illinois. Is that correct?
Yeah.
In the bowl game. And, it's definitely going to be weighing on their heads. And, great loss, definitely, Charlie.
All right, let's talk about the bowl games coming up. I'm gonna spare you talking about Raiders and Rams from the other night, okay? Because I've said all I got to say about the coaching malpractice that went on in that thing. But I do want to talk about the bowl games because we're going to have 8 bowl games on Friday and Saturday combined, and one of them's the Las Vegas Bowl, and it's got an SEC team in it for the first time in 22 years, only the second time ever, with Florida and Oregon State. So we've got some interesting matchups with some of these bowl games, and I'm just wondering what you're thinking about some of these, including the Las Vegas Bowl.
Yeah, they're definitely hard to handicap, I'll be honest with you, with the transfer portal and everything that's going on. And, you're seeing that Anthony Richardson is gone. Probably going to go with Jack Miller now, and that's why we're seeing, I believe it's 10.5 at the Rampart and South Point in the Las Vegas Bowl. It is, Oregon State being the favorite there, and that's, shocking to see an SEC team get double digits, Charlie, without a doubt. And we've been taking some good action on Oregon State. We opened it at 10 and 52, so we're already past the key number at 10.5. Some of the other shops in town also have gone to 10.5. The total is slightly up from 52 to 52.5. Betting a little over, a beautiful stadium, beautiful facility. Don't see why there shouldn't be a lot of scoring unless Florida, just lays a complete egg. So it's going to be an interesting game. Also, we have a few others. BYU is involved against SMU in the New Mexico Bowl. We always take a lot of action on BYU at the Rampart, but we're seeing tremendous action on SMU from the Sharps and the regulars in Las Vegas. So we opened that game at 1.5, and SMU is now up to 4.5, Charlie. So huge action there on SMU. Total of 65, down 5 points from the opener. So, you know, a lot of these early games have those transfer portal, implications. And BYU also, Jaron Hall, he's questionable. We don't know what's going to happen there. A lot of handicapping glitches, I want to say, in these early bowl games, and we're seeing a tremendous, handle on some of them because the Sharps come like sharks. You know, they want to just pound on all these games, Charlie.
Yeah.
So, some excellent bowl games on Saturday and NFL on Saturday. So, handle's going to be off the hook.
The NFL action. By the way, that SMU game, BYU, the New Mexico Bowl, game time temperature 37. Gonna be a little bit chilly down in Albuquerque. Interesting card though on Saturday for the NFL. The Ravens, who are fighting for their division title right now with the hard charging Bengals, and we're still waiting word on Lamar Jackson. What the line tells me, Kaluch, is if Cleveland's still a 3-point favorite, then Lamar's not, at least at this point, may not be expected to play or at least be limited in that game. And then the Dolphins, who, listen, you lay one egg against San Francisco, that's one thing, but if you can't score against San Diego, the Chargers, okay, that's a whole different.
I do that all the time.
That's a whole different thing. So they got to go to Buffalo, where it'll be a brisk 32 degrees. Those two games on the slate, along with Colts and Vikings on Saturday. What's the best line, best matchup you think?
Well, I'll tell you, the Raven game, I mean, they only put up 17 passes in the last game, but the defense definitely showed up, and they shut the Steelers down. You know, you saw Pickett go down early, then Trubisky. He's not going to lead you anywhere. 3 interceptions. You see how limited his skill set has become. So Baltimore is definitely fighting for their playoff lives, like you said, Charlie, but it's the same old story. Lamar Jackson never plays late in the season. I mean, he always seems to have some lingering injury that it starts lasting 2, 3, 4 weeks, and it definitely compromises Coach Harbaugh and limits his offense. It also makes it difficult for them to make this playoff rush. So we opened that game at 2.5, and now the Browns are sitting at 3 at the Rampart and South Point, 37.5 on the total there. Minnesota, they should be able to win this game. I mean, but they played some bad games in the last 3 weeks. You have to keep your eye on the Vikings. You don't want to go, into the playoffs sinking like a ship in the night. So definitely we're going to keep an eye on the Vikings. I think this is a good game for them to rectify and start to establish themselves again. So I expect we'll see a lot of Minnesota action at the Rampart and the South Point. Miami, they may be the pretenders, Charlie. You might have hit the nail on the head. When you can't score against the Chargers, and Tua looked like he was lost out there. Tyreek Hill walked right off the field. Once Tyreek Hill starts to get, a little upset, then you have to keep your eye on this team moving forward. This could be a problem. Buffalo, they have not played that great, I'll be honest with you. The Jets pushed them to the brink. A lot of pressure on Josh Allen. It seems like Diggs isn't as involved as he was earlier in the season. They're having trouble scoring the ball. So that's why we opened it at 42 there, Charlie, and now we're down to 41.5. Buffalo minus 7.5 at home. It's going to be freezing cold. Another test for Tua Tagovailoa and his offense. So I kind of like Buffalo, but I think it's going to be an under game there. I think both teams are having trouble scoring the ball.
Dwayne, we've got some games on Sunday that I'm thinking of them in my mind as playoff elimination games. The winners still going to have a chance, and to put on a little bit of a run, and the loser is going to have a hard time other than mathematically making the playoffs. One of them is Lions and Jets. The Lions are hot right now. The Jets, I'll give Mike White credit. He took a beating like I hadn't seen since Randall Tex Cobb and kept coming back in that game on Sunday. So he's tough. Another one is the Patriots and the Raiders that both have to keep their hopes alive. And in the Titans and the Chargers, the Titans appear to be in a little bit of trouble right now. They fired a general manager last week, which is kind of an unusual time to do that. They've had 2 stinker games in a row. So any of those 3 games catch your attention, I think that they've all got serious playoff implications for one or both teams.
Yeah, I definitely think the Jet game is going to be an off-the-hook game. I mean, credit to Mike White, like you said. This guy really has played hard. They're so well coached. He has stepped in and made a difference and has become a leader in that clubhouse. And, despite this rib injury, he's going to tough it out. So, We're going to see how Davis's injury plays out. They definitely need more play, more support for Wilson at the wide receiver position. The defense is fine. I mean, this is going to be a tough game. Jared Goff has been off the hook lately. The Lions are playing as good as any team, basically, in the NFL, which is shocking to say this late in the season. So I definitely think that's going to be a massive playoff implication game. We're sitting at Pick'em. That's what we opened it. We're getting great two-way action, 44.5. I think a lot of people, they're a little leery to back the Lions in this situation. So that game, it stands out in my opinion. Another one, Charlie, the Giants and Commanders, you have to keep your eye on.
Yeah.
Can one of these teams make the playoffs? The Giants are definitely limping around now. They're not playing well. And, Washington can establish themselves as a possible playoff team. Like you said, Tennessee, I don't know how they fired the GM. That was definitely a weird situation there. Was it more of spite because of the A.J. Brown contract situations and all that? I'm not sure what they were thinking getting rid of the GM, and now they're not playing well at all. So we're seeing some Charger money, not a plethora of it, but -3 at the Rampart and South Point. 47 is the total. The game is in L.A., which usually doesn't make that much of a difference because the crowd. We were discussing that, and you guys were semi-right. I tell you, there were a lot of Raider fans there Thursday. We discussed that prior to the game, and, Jimmy was setting me straight on that, as you were. So, it's going to be a tough game. I think Tennessee can run the ball against the Chargers. Like you said, I mean, Miami couldn't score against them, so they're not a great defense, but I think Tennessee has an excellent chance in this game. So, yeah, definitely a lot of playoff implication games. That Jet Lion one, I'm going to really keep my eye on that, though, and the health of Mike White moving forward.
I want to ask you one basketball question before we wrap up here. Pelicans have run off 7 in a row now, including 2 over the Suns. Certainly, this is not in any way a perennial power in the NBA. They are, I guess, what's known in the vernacular as new money. But they are in first place in the Western Conference, and they do have a superstar, a high-profile superstar in Zion Williamson. So I'm just wondering if you guys are seeing a little bit of extra activity on the Pelicans.
Yeah, definitely. And you're starting to see a lot of superstars now come back. Damian Lillard is back. We saw Kawhi last night. He looked unbelievable. I mean, I even tweeted out about it. He really looks like he hasn't lost a step. But, I mean, when you sit out 2 years, how could you not be? You have to be, healthy at the point that you come back. But definitely the Pelicans, you're looking at 18-8 now. They're 12-5 in conference and 12-3 at home. 9-1 in their last 10, Charlie. So we're seeing some momentum. You saw Zion with that monster dunk. He's sending a message to the Suns that, look, I'm a superstar. I'm going to make an impact. And definitely this is a team to watch. You look at the 2 picks there, and they're 1-2 in the conference with Ja Morant as well as Zion. So, these are 2 teams to be reckoned with, the Pelicans and the Grizzlies. We've seen a lot of Grizzly action as, if Ja is healthy. And now with Zion being healthy, we're seeing a lot of Pelican action. So there may be a changing of the guard here in the Western Conference. The Suns, they seem to get rattled pretty easy this year. I'm going to keep my eye on the Clippers, and you always got to keep your eye on Luka. He's going to elevate his level at some point, and they're going to go on a big run as well. The Lakers, they're starting to find their way, but still, they can't just get over that hump. Exactly, Charlie. They can't get over that hump. And you look at that superstar-laden roster, eventually they have to gel and make a playoff run, but that's no guarantee. The Jazz came right back down to earth. You see that. The West is wide open. I mean, the Kings are in 5th, and my Knicks destroyed them the other day. So I don't know how good the Western Conference is, but the Pelicans could definitely win it. I'll tell you that, Charlie.
Let me tell you,
seeing increased handle.
Let me tell you something about the Lakers. They do not have to gel. What they have to do is pull a groin. They have to pull a hamstring. They have to have some kind of little hangnail that'll keep Anthony Davis out for 6 weeks or something like that.
Well,
that's
street clothes, huh?
Yes, that's what they got to get. Two games, plus, especially since the Pelicans have got the Lakers pick. Jazz opened the season 10-3. They are 5-11 since the Pels have got 2 coming up with them. Road games in Utah, I'm never going to say are easy to win, but the Pelicans are small favorites, at least in game 1. Kaluch, we always appreciate your time in South Point and the Rampart. We're looking forward to seeing you guys early next year. So thanks as always for your time. We'll check with you next week right before Christmas.
Sounds great, Charlie. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate all you guys do.
Always do. Dwayne Colucci from the South Point and the Rampart. Speaking of Christmas, if you're looking for something for the special someone in your life, the wife, the girlfriend, the significant other, Selassie in the Antique District in Denham Springs, they help my man Taylor out. Everything is worked out so fantastically. So a terrific selection of diamonds and other jewelry, watches, everything from Timex to Rolex. They are certified diamond graduates from GIA. All of your design, all of your build, all of your repair. You know, if there's an older piece of jewelry that you want refurbished, makes a wonderful and sometimes emotional gift. Family owned and operated. Open 7 days a week until Christmas because, of course, you're busy. A lot of stuff going on. So if you need to get out on the weekend, they're open 7 days a week. All ring sizing is done. Band adjustments for watch, jewelry appraisals. Conveniently located in the Antique District in Denham Springs. Go by and see Stuart and Renee at Selassie. We'll take a break, come back and wrap things up. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
And with the holidays, we're cooking as well. And we're cooking with Supreme Rice because that's what we do at my house for your rice dressings, for your gumbos, any of your holiday meals, whether it be with family or you're going to a holiday party. Maybe you're throwing a holiday party. Do it with Supreme Rice. Going to stretch that food dollar and support our Louisiana farmers. So pick up Supreme Rice, whether it be the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine at all of your AG food stores, all of your Rouses, all of your Winn-Dixies, and all of your Walmarts, including your Walmart neighborhood stores. Supreme Rice, for more information, you're looking for some ideas for something different this holiday season, there's some great recipes on the site. Check it out now at supremerice.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% with 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution. A network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
A third of youth who grow up in foster care are homeless 18 months after aging out of care. But you can rewrite that story. Change a child's story. Become a volunteer today.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way.
On Wednesday's OTB, how did the Pels fare in their trip? Plus, another hour of some holiday flustering. Continue to refine your favorite Christmas movies and the latest on the Citrus Bowl. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Want to catch any of the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com. You go back and catch our interview with Bill Martin, who worked with Mike Leach at Mississippi State. Purdue has hired a new head coach. He is former Illinois defensive coordinator Ryan Walters. Illinois was at the top of most of the statistical defensive categories this season. They finished the regular season first in fewest points allowed and second in fewest yards allowed. You might remember Walters from his time at Missouri. He was a defensive coordinator there from 2016 to 2020. He was under both Barry Odom and Eli Drinkwitz there. He's also spent some time at Arizona, Oklahoma, and Memphis. But he will not coach the bowl game. Brian Braum is going to coach the bowl game for Purdue against LSU. So kind of like last year when Brian Kelly was the head coach here but did not coach the bowl game. Purdue will be in a similar situation with Ryan Walters as their defensive coordinator. Thanks to everybody for participating. For Taylor and Mario, I'm Charles Hannegriff saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Big Mike's in Denham Springs with live music this weekend, starting on Thursday night with Chris Allen and Saturday with Ernest Scott. Here during the holiday season, still room for your holiday parties, not too late. And you want catering off-site, they can provide that for you as well. And, of course, holiday gift cards, you can get them at Big Mike's. $30 in gift cards, you'll get $5 off your next visit. $50 will get you $10, and $100 will get you $20 off of your next visit at Big Mike's. Also, tonight, photos with Santa at Big Mike's. Santa and the Grinch will be out front of Big Mike's from 6 until 8 tonight, and kids eat half off tonight with a purchase tonight. So get on out to Big Mike's. Take your picture with Santa and the Grinch with the kids. Live music this weekend and gift card specials at Big Mike's in Denham Springs. We're kind of a big deal.